he's getting it now.
Hey everybody, welcome to Metal Custom. Today in the shop we have a 2017 Chevrolet Suburban R&R. This is a nice ride. For those of y'all that watch the channel a lot, watch my other gun channel, y'all know Hootie Hoo. This is what he got his wife wanted to drive. This is a nice one, but the transmission went out. That's why it's here. We're going to put one in it and try to get this thing back on the road where she can be cruising. But let me give you a quick look at the transmission that he ordered, and then we'll get busy. Alright, old Hootie Hoo done his homework and come up with this transmission right here. It was delivered yesterday. This is a 6L80, and this is for the four-wheel drive. Of course, this Suburban is four-wheel drive, as you can tell. It comes with everything that we need. It even came with the fluid. And this torque converter is pre-filled. So we ain't got to worry about taking it out, filling it, putting it in, and all that jazz. So yeah, pretty cool setup. I'm liking it. It comes with everything that we need to do the job. Here's the Suburban. As you can see, this is a really nice setup. Really nice on the inside, all leather and whatnot. Yeah, super sharp. Alright, so first things first, disconnect the battery. And I believe that's 10 millimeter. If I'm not mistaken. Picking cable right back here. Just so it don't pop back down on there, I always like to get them out here. Now we know 100% that it's disconnected. Alright, let's go ahead and raise this thing up and get busy. Alright guys, we got it raised up. And here's the transfer case. And as you can see, that thing is huge. Yeah, and there's a transmission ahead of it, which looks to be just a shade bigger than the transfer case. But we'll start at the case here first. We'll get all of our electrical unhooked, get our rear drive shaft out, and then come up here and disconnect our front drive shaft. Then we come in here, y'all can't see it, but right up in here where the transfer case attaches to the engine itself, we'll get all them bolts loose, and we can use the transmission jack under here to hold the weight of it and get this thing out of there. Now by the time it comes back, it will be, this is going to be in the way, but this does not come out. It is welded in. So we'll have to bring this back and then sort of down and out, which that'll be fun. And guys, for the sake of video time and my work time, I'm just going to show y'all, explain to y'all what I'm going to do. I'll do it, then turn the camera back on, explain to you the next step I'm going to get. I don't want the camera under there in my way, taking a chance of breaking it. And besides, it's a lot of boring video that y'all don't probably want to see. But I'll go ahead and get, like I say, all the electrical and stuff off the transfer case. I'll get the front and rear drive shaft removed, and then the transfer case bolts. Then we'll get it out of the way, and then I'll show you the next step in this procedure. Alright, drive shafts are out. All electrical's off. Let me tell you something, this front drive shaft here, give you a little trick. You pull it off of here, shove backwards. You see that cavity up through here? Go up through there in order to get it disconnected. Then you have to run it back, run it back through and then down in order to get it out. All right, now I'm ready to start with unbolting the transfer case itself. And it goes plumb up to here. Bolt's going this way. So I am going to have to take the mount off and this cross member and everything out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this pipe here and get my transmission jack under the transmission and get everything held so I can get that out of the way. Alright guys, seeing as I got to put the transmission jack under there in order to get all this transfer case business off, I'm going to hold off on that for a second because the transmission jack is going to be like in the way. I'm going to go ahead and go up in there. There's just 2 bolts that'll drop the starter down because I'm going to have to go through the starter hole, it looks like, in order to get the torque converter bolts out. So I'm going to drop the starter, see if I can get the torque converter bolts, and I'm going to go ahead and take the transmission lines off. That way they'll get down out of the way, and whatever else that I can see, I'll probably try to get to before I put the transmission jack in here. Maybe a couple of the electricals and whatnot on that. I'll go ahead and take this plate off because I'm sure there's some electrical behind that. We get all that done. You can see you got the trans lines off of there. I'll wait till everything's out of the way, then we'll flush them. I'll show y'all how to do that. Get that starter pulled down just enough. And there's this little black plate right here you got to take out. Then you can get in there and get the torque converter bolts loose. I've got the nuts off of here and there. So that's a day for me. I'm fixing to go in, but I'll be back out here in the morning. Who knows? Casey might actually show up for work. But my plan is to raise it up here, take this out, then let the pressure down, take the transfer case loose and use the transmission jack to remove it. Then, of course, put the transmission jack on the transmission and pull it. But we'll see how that goes tomorrow. Alright guys, finally got that transfer case out of there. That was a pain. Now you see the way it's sitting at this angle. That is how you have to pull it out. Basically take your transfer case, come back as far as you can till you hit right here. And then lower it, lower it, lower it as you're twisting it around. It will scrape against here, it will scrape against here. The tail shaft will be sort of not quite jammed, but super tight in here. Push that through and you'll end up with this angle here, then she'll come down. Once I figured it out, bam, I got it. Now I'll probably have to get out the cherry picker so I can pick that up, get it off the trans jack, and then, hey, we're finally at the transmission. Alright, transfer case is set off to the side. Just set it up there. Now, we're actually down to the transmission. Got the trans jack already on there. I like using ratchet straps on them. I've got the bars and the chains and all that come with this trans jack. But for some reason I just prefer the ratchet strap. It's a lot quicker, easier to deal with, and seems to hold better. Alright, now we have gotten everything off this transmission to my knowledge. We still got dipstick tube in there. Don't know how that's going to come out. Yeah, we'll deal with that. But I'm hoping it comes on down with the transmission. Everything up front is done. So basically all we got to do is run around here and take all the transmission bolts out. So let's grab us, I think it's a 15 maybe. Let's see here. I don't want to tell y'all the wrong thing. 15 all day long. Alright, I'm going to grab us 15 millimeter, run all the way around the bell house and get them bolts out, and hopefully there's nothing else holding. Alright, got all the bolts out. Let me tell you, that was a pain. For one, see this bracket right here? It lays across the top and covers up two of the bolts. So you got to get the little 13 millimeter nut off of it to get the bracket out of the way, which was a pain. And then getting them bolts up there. Whoever designed this and put that top middle bolt in, there's something wrong with them. They're mentally challenged, because that was a pain in the butt. That one and the next one down here on the left. But I finally got all the bolts out of this stupid thing. And now my biggest issue is getting it off the motor. It is literally stuck to the engine. I should have rocked it back and forth, tried some pry bars and whatnot. There's steel pins in the block that come through the transmission, and it looks like they're rusty. I mean, I don't know what the malfunction here is, but we're going to keep on keeping on, try to get this thing wiggled loose. I did spray some penetrant on it last night, so hopefully that'll help. But let me get back to it and see if I can get this thing slid out of there. Alright, I finally got that thing out of there. And it took some pry bars to get it out. Oh, we brought one of the studs with us. We're going to have to get that out, put it back in the block. But yeah, that thing was a pain. Now y'all can see, where my light go? That's that top bolt. Now, is that the stupidest place? Then you got one here and here. These three are your pain, because you got these brackets over top of them, and where you can't see them, you got to take a nut off. But that is just not lovely. All right, flywheel's back on. Now we got to get these cooler lines cleaned out. What I got here is some Blue Guard Cooler Clean Transmission Cooler Line Flush. And it's just pretty basic. It's just a spray can, take the safety cap off. Now, some of these are screw on the old style lines. You can just screw right on there and go with it. But on this style, you got to have this little end right here to go down in there. And let me show you how we're going to do that. Alright, as you can see, there's the lines. This end here, just jam down in there, and I'll hold it as I'm spraying. What I did, I took me a piece of 3/8 fuel line and jammed it on there. Got it run over here into a bucket to catch the mess. But let me go ahead and get that done. Got the coolant lines flushed. You can tell by the mess on the floor, but hey, it's done. Now, a couple items we need to swap over here. This bracket needs to be swapped over, which we can actually put on once it's up in there. Same as this shifter, we can put it on once it's up in there. Got my bolt for my lines. Besides that, that is it. And we can do them two items once the transmission's installed. No problem. And yeah, I did get that bolt loose. Yeah, it was stuck in there. But we'll get it out of there, no problem, get it back in, and it'll work just fine. Now, need to swap out the transmissions. So let me grab my cherry picker and do it to it. Alright guys, got them swapped out. This one I'm going to go ahead and put the seal in. That's for the dipstick tube. Besides that, the other stuff, like I say, the two things on this side I can change once it's in there. And already got the one pin back in there. Now, all I want to do is that one bracket up there. I want to make sure it's up and out of the way very well before I start going up with this transmission. Besides that, just need to take the torque converter holders off. We're ready to slide this bad boy in. Alright guys, here's where we're at. I got transmission in. Yes, I did get all them bolts in. It was a lot easier to put in than it was to take out, except for a couple of bolts. And I went ahead and put the transfer case up there. That way I could get the mount and the cross member in, holding everything up. Now what we got to do next is get our torque converter bolts. We say they'll come in from the starter hole. Get all of them in and torque down properly. Then we'll go ahead and put that little plastic piece back, and then put the starter in. After that, probably go ahead and hook up our lines. We do have a new gasket for that. Also went ahead and got brackets all bolted up, and the shift linkage done, and the breather tubes ran. So, making pretty good progress so far. Let's keep on keeping on. Alright, so far so good. Torque converter bolts are in and torqued down. We got the little plastic piece back in, the starter's reinstalled, along with the little shield. There's a little shield on the side of that starter. It's a 10 millimeter. Make sure you get that. And I've got the lines. Of course, I'd take this transmission bolt back out for this brace for the lines. And I got them in there with the new gasket that was supplied with the transmission. Alright, I'm sitting there looking and looking, and I think all that we lack is putting in the drive shafts and hooking this exhaust back up, and that should have us taken care of under here. Alright, accomplished all of that. So everything is together, pipes welded back in, and I did take the time to go over and look real close and careful to make sure everything was plugged up, every bracket is properly where it belongs, heat shields and whatnot, everything's back the way it was before I touched it. So we are good on that. So now we need to drop her down and see if she'll start and add some fluid. And remember, these are one of them that has to be taken to the dealership and reflashed. But I hope it'll start up and the transmission work good enough for us to get the fluid filled and get it to its proper level. Well, everyone, that's pretty much got it. Right now, see, after I dropped it, I put 6 quarts in it, which, like I say, this transmission came with some fluid in it, and the torque converter was pre-filled. So I put 6 in it, started it up, let it run for about 3 or 4 minutes, run it through the gears, and then rechecked it, and it said it's on the cold full mark. So that's enough fluid for now. And the deal is, from what I understand, by reading the paper that came with the transmission, you're really not supposed to drive this thing. You're supposed to have it towed to a dealership and have it reflash and all that stuff. So I'm not going to sit here and run it and throw it in and out of gear and such as that a whole lot, because I don't want to mess it up. But that is that, and we are done. And it was not a lot of fun, but hey, some of them bolts, Lord knows why they put them there. Just bad design in my opinion, but we got it done. Alright, so I'm going to wrap it up. I've got a couple little items left to do to this thing, but them are no big deal. Well, everyone, there you have it, 2017 Suburban Premier R&R the transmission. Hopefully I throwed up some pointers there and some things that'll help y'all if y'all have to do it yourself. Appreciate you watching. Like I say, hope you enjoyed, hope you learned a little something. If you would, throw me down some comments. If you're able, check out that super thanks below. And please like, share, and subscribe. Again, appreciate it much. Till the next one, I hope that everyone has a fantastic day.